Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a special edition live chat. I'm Rebecca Fuhr. Thank you for taking this time for a very important discussion today. Since this is a special edition, we encourage you to send in your questions directly related to the topic today. Next month, we'll return to our regularly scheduled chat where we invite more general questions. That inbox, doc.questions@state.co.us. And as always, if you ever want to go back and rewatch any of the live chats, I always post the recording on the front page of DocNet under Executive Director Live Chats. I'll kick things off this afternoon with our Deputy Executive Director, Melissa Smith. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. All right. Thank you so much, Rebecca, and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us on this special broadcast of just some criteria around the visitation bill. So House Bill 251013. This is the new visitation bill, and really what we want to do is talk about kind of what it means as we move forward with this bill. This is an opportunity to provide context, to answer your questions, and then just hear your perspectives as well. We've been hosting visitation town halls at many of our facilities and have many more facilities to go for the loved ones and family and friends of those individuals that are incarcerated behind the walls. But on behalf of the executive team, we want to make sure that we're hearing your feedback and helping to answer any of those questions that you might raise. And our goal today is really just to try and help address those directly. The reality of this bill is that it is state law. And our focus is how we move forward from our discussions to ensuring a safe and secure and orderly implementation. I have asked that Director Sanchez and Director Fairbairn join today just to review some of the legislative requirements as well as the operational plan and how leadership is committed to supporting you as we move forward in these changes, because we do understand there's going to be a lot of questions through the implementation process. So to begin, I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Policy and Legislative Affairs, Adrian Sanchez, who can closely involved in the bill and moving forward through the legislature and can provide a clarity on kind of what the bill says.
Great, thank you, Melissa. Good afternoon, everyone. My role today is to break down the legal framework of this new law. So one of the biggest shifts for us with this new legislation is that phone calls are now officially considered to be a type of visitation. This means that whenever we refer to visitation as a general term, that now includes phone calls. Next, the law recognizes that individuals and families have visitation rights that can only be restricted in specific circumstances. A critical definition is the word deprive, which means denying access to any form of visitation. The language choice here was intentional. We did a lot of arguing over the word any versus all, but using any rather than all means that while we can restrict one form of visitation, we cannot remove access to all of the forms of visitation at once. So some of the allowed restrictions, some specific instances where there are restrictions allowed include for Class 1 COPD convictions. Conviction is the operative word here. Contact visits can be restricted for 30 days upon a conviction, not upon an investigation, not upon suspicion, upon a conviction. This leaves the other visitation types, non-contact, video, and telephone available for use. Restricted housing placement. Phone visits may be restricted to once every 5 days while a person is in restricted housing. This is an increase from our existing practices, which would provide a phone call every 7 days. Custody level increases. We can reduce visit frequency based on custody level, but we cannot limit visitation entirely. Video visits, these are now considered to be a form of non-contact visitation. They cannot replace in-person visits where in-person visits are allowed, but they can be used as a non-contact option. Some special considerations from the bill: emergencies. We can temporarily suspend visitation for emergencies or safety concerns, but only for the duration of the documented event. We need to keep documents related to the event, so if the power goes down in a facility, which we know that it does, obviously we will have documentation of that event, and then we are permitted to temporarily suspend visitation during that time frame. We also can restrict or deny visitation, again, which includes phone calls, for legal reasons, for extended periods, such as compliance with court orders, for victim registration purposes, protective orders during active criminal investigations, and to prohibit co-defendants from conversing, things like that. There's another special consideration that was added to this for funerals and births. If requested and with reasonable notice, we must try to allow attendance, virtual attendance, at funerals and immediately following the birth of a family member. If that technology isn't available either on our side or on the part of the location of either the funeral or the birth, we are to offer a phone call as an alternative. There are some policy requirements, obviously. There's going to be a lot of policy updates, but our policy updates also must clearly outline when visits can be denied or canceled. And policy updates must also include an update to our visitor notification process that will include specific reasons for denial and some methods by which we can provide timely notice to visitors about a denial or a cancellation. There are some things in this bill that are not changing. For example, visitors and incarcerated individuals must still comply with all departmental policies, and visitors must still comply with all the laws related to searches and contraband control. To discuss how we plan to implement all of this operationally, I'm going to turn it over now to the Director of Prison Operations, Mr. Mark Fairbairn.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. So good afternoon. My focus will be on how we effectively implement this law across our facilities on every shift. Specifically, I want to address feedback from an operational standpoint and share the plan we have to support staff inside these facilities. So we are currently updating 11 of our policies to ensure every perspective is heard. And to do that, what we did is we formed a work group that was made up of staff from the line level, in visiting, line level staff across our facilities, all the way up through the executive team. This group focused on revising our regulations and providing clarity and consistency. So to go through some of the key policy updates, one was clear procedures for every part of the visitation process. The other part was defining visitation to explicitly cover all social interactions, which Adrian touched on, which is in-person, phone, video. We are classifying video visits now as a non-contact visit. Clarifying that visitation restrictions cannot be used as sanctions for Class 2 COPD convictions. Standardizing how our policies are applied across all facilities with professionalism at the forefront. Adjusting visitor dress code to support a respectful, pro-social environment. And creating clear guidelines on how and when visitation can be restricted, including notification procedures. This will improve the visitor application process and our communication methods, and develop department-wide metrics to track visitation data, that is part of the bill, the law. The work group that we did, like I said, include officers, line staffs, leadership. So the final policies will be practical and effective. Safety, the key point here is that safety and security remains our top priority. Many staff have raised concerns about contraband, staff safety, and we take that very seriously. So to address it, we are conducting a comprehensive review of all our contraband interdiction strategies. Those include enhancing consistency to reduce conflicts in visitation areas and allowing staff to focus strictly on that security, and implementing strict consequences for visitors who introduce contraband, including being barred from future visits. And finally, the we're conducting a formal review, and that'll be to determine the resources necessary to comply with this law. This will help us advocate for any additional staffing, technology, budget needs that we may have. We are close to getting this finalized. The goal is to have clear policies and support you so you can do your job safely and confidently. We do thank everyone for their input as we move forward on this together.
Thank you, Director. We do have a couple questions that came into our inbox here. Here's the first one. I submitted concerns to the Google form when it was sent out. Were questions submitted at that time answered or researched?
And I can take that, Rebecca. And all that data was brought to the team, the formal review team, and it was incorporated into that policy discussion surrounding the House Bill 251013.
Thank you. Here's another one. Do we have an anticipated date that the policy will be updated so facilities can ensure their IAs are in alignment with the updated policy?
So as of right now, we don't have a date set in stone. We are getting close, but we want to make sure that all the input from our town halls and any input from here that we may need to incorporate can be added as well. So.
Okay. Those were the couple of questions that we received. We can give them just a couple minutes and see if any other ones come in. You can send those questions to doc_questions@state.co.us. Let me check the inbox one more time. So with telephones being considered a form of visiting, are they going to be allowed as a sanction in class 1s or class 2s?
So that is one of the things that we're reviewing. It's still under review. What we are looking though is that at any one point, are we not going to limit all visiting options? Because under the law, we have to allow some, which a phone call is now part of visiting. So even in restricted housing. So as we update policy, we will have clear guidelines on that. I know it's not as clear an answer, but that is one of the things we're still reviewing.
Great. And I don't see any other questions in the inbox at this time. Give it just a minute or two. Director Smith, do you want to close it up at this time, or do you want to give it another couple minutes?
I think we can go ahead and close it. I just want to take a few minutes to thank Adrian and Mark for outlining the legal realities and operational plans that are in motion at this point. And thank you all for your tough but necessary questions. We greatly appreciate the time that you spent trying to follow the policy as it was being, or follow the bill as it was being finalized and through the implementation process. We know that this law isn't what many of us would have chosen. And my comment to all of you, or my commitment, is that we will give you clear policies. We will provide you all with the training that's needed, and we will support you and the department in finding resources directly required to do this process safely. Your safety and well-being is the foundation of the department, and we will not compromise on that. The incredible work that you all do and your professionalism is extremely important to the ongoing success of any implementation that we have throughout the department. And we can ask that you continue to ask questions and to ask for clarity as we work through this process, because we do know that there will be some ins and outs over the next few weeks, especially as we implement this. But we want to thank you all for the work that you do and just for the time that you're spending to better understand this.
Absolutely. Thank you. This concludes our special edition live chat. Please tune in next month for our regularly scheduled chat. That is September 9th at 3 o'clock. Until then, thank you for watching.